So can anyone tell me what you guys might use virtualization for, even if it's not just for your study? What could you use virtualization for? Do you guys use it in your work at all? Yeah, so Liana, you said you use it at work. What kind of, how do you use it at work? You can you can turn on your microphone and talk if you guys like, if that might be easier than typing.
Storage?
Storage, yeah, how so? Can you explain a little bit how you use virtualization for storage at your work?
Like network drives?
Network drives, yeah. And Brittany, yeah, you're saying that you could test compatibility of applications. And someone said Brock said server. That's absolutely right. So basically, if you didn't, what you need to pick out of the topics this morning is that virtualization is the way of the future. So, for example, like you've probably all heard of the term the cloud, and in fact, the Azure 103 certification is all about Microsoft's cloud, not everything to do with the cloud from Microsoft, but to that level. And basically, this is what I think is going to happen in the future, okay? Except for those people who are really hardcore on playing their games at home and whatnot. Why do you need a powerful computer? Why do you need a heavy duty, super high spec computer at home unless you're doing some work or some play that requires this heavy processing, heavy graphics, or heavy performance? Most people, I'm saying most people, when I say most people, I'm talking about your regular workers, your mum and dad probably, who are just using them for your office apps. Why do they need a powerful computer at all? Why do they even need a computer at all? Really, they need a screen, they need a monitor, they need a keyboard, they need a mouse, and they need a way of actually interacting with a system. And already in our in our life, there's these things called thin clients. So I'm not sure if any of you guys have thin clients at your work, but some of the universities I know for sure has these things called thin clients, and basically what they are is just a box with very little CPU, very little memory, no storage at all, and basically what they're connecting to is basically a server. These thin clients, they've still got your mouse plugged in, your keyboard plugged in, your display plugged in, and they're connecting to a server. And the server is actually hosting a virtualized instance, potentially, a virtualized instance of your virtual machines. So let me quickly, so VDI, you might have heard of this term. It's a desktop virtualization. So what I'm saying is, where did the picture go? What I'm saying is instead of actually owning a powerful computer, laptop, whatever, you just need a desk to interact with the virtualized instance of your desktop. That could be on a on-premise the servers. So you might have heard the term on-premise, and in the cloud. Okay, so basically, what I see is that in the future we already have our smartphones. You all have a smartphone. I'm sure the processor in your smartphones and even the amount of cores in your smartphones are just increasing as well. So we don't need necessarily a big laptop. We just need, or a big desktop. We just need a way of interacting with these virtualized desktop interfaces, maybe in the cloud, through our phone, through our 4G, 5G connection, on the go, everywhere, having our desktop with us. We're almost at that level now. So basically, this is potentially where we're going. So obviously, some of you guys have sent me the specifications for the desktops and laptops that you wanted to buy, and that's great. And because we do have a heavy reliance on virtualization, reliance on hardware because of our virtualization, but in the future, for your average person, they don't necessarily need that high spec of virtualization. Some of you guys, some of you guys agree with me. So a lot of your, Jack is saying most of your clients use the thin clients. Yeah, they're used in health. Yeah, a lot of data sort of call centers. When they just need a simple interface onto a system, uh, they don't need a full desktop. I think most people at TAFE wouldn't need a desktop. Okay, so like you, for example, we're studying IT. That's a little bit different. I'm talking about people who are doing hairdressing, fashion, building and furnishing. Do they need a full desktop? Probably not. So basically, virtualization has many uses, and when you get to the some of the high level subjects, you'll learn a little bit more than desktop virtualization. That's what we got right now, desktop virtualization, and we're using VMware Workstation. Uh, VMware Workstation, which is one of the best. It costs money. There's some free versions. The VMware Player, which means you can what's a run virtual machines which are created, but you can't actually create new ones. And you'll see that there's features like snapshots, cloning, and many other things that make these virtual machines so flexible and so easy to get new virtual machines up and running without having to uh, start from scratch like a lot of you guys created virtual machines from scratch this morning. But who's to say I can't get a virtual machine and make another copy of it? Because at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of files. And you'll learn how to do clone a little bit later on anyway. So for example, I've got my domain controller here, and you can see it's a suspended state. And what I can do is I can actually look at the snapshots to see that, hey, there's a whole heap of different snapshots. Okay. And I can even just grab this snapshot, for example, and create a clone. So all of a sudden, I'm making a clone from this existing snapshot, and I'm going to create a link clone. You'll learn about the difference between link clone and full clone in a couple of lessons time. And I'll just put it there just for today. And all of a sudden, I have a clone of the domain controller server virtual machine, and I can just power it on. So it makes our life as a teacher and a student a lot easier. And the best thing is, if I actually make a mistake, I can just delete it and clone another one. I can use the snapshots to actually go back to a previous point. So I would recommend that you guys get used to the idea of creating snapshots, especially in the next couple of subjects, because in the next couple of subjects we get a little bit get our hands a little bit more dirtier with working with Windows 10 workstation as well as the server. And in your assignments, you have to build these servers. And to be honest, not everyone gets it right straight away, the first attempt, in the sense that when you're having your first go at building or configuring something, you don't necessarily get it right. So having a snapshot, which is a point in time capture of the virtual machine at that point in time, means you can mess it up. You can go back, and it's as if it's a big undo button for your virtual machines rather than just your document. So you can have a go, mess it up again, undo. So it's really, it's really good. It's a little bit different to the save state, because the save state is of the virtual machine. Now you're resuming, but once you're resumed, that save state is deleted. But the snapshot is a save state that's persistent, so you can go back anytime in the future. And in fact, you don't have to just go have one save state. You can have, if you take this domain controller virtual machine that I've got here, you can actually look at the snapshots I've got. There's one where there's just installed as a domain controller, nothing done, some basic settings configured. There I've actually installed a system setting configuration manager on there. Then I've deployed a client. application deployment was configured, the software updates were configured in that snapshot, then operating system deployment was configured in that one. In this snapshot, I was using for performing some queries. You can see I've got a long string of snapshots in that example, and I can go back to any one of them at any time and work on that. For example, if I was teaching that class to you guys, I might tell you guys to restore your virtual machines to the operating system deployment snapshot so you can do the operating system deployment. How good is that I can, as a lecturer, say start at a point, and then I know your virtual machines are going to be acting and behaving in a certain manner.